From Kazakhstan, Mr. Oleg Vinokurov, Chairman of the Board, Eurasian Foods Corporation. And last, our own homegrown, Mr. Afzal Aziz, President of International Business Development, Alana Sons Private Limited. Alhamdulillah, we have our moderator and panelists on the stage. Dato Sri, I pass the floor to you. Thank you.
Very good afternoon, okay. Just cross border, no? Morning and afternoon. Selamat pagi and good afternoon to everyone. It's a selamat tengah hari, okay. On behalf of Martrade, my name is Gopal Krishnan. I'm the president of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and also the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Would like to, with your permission, I'd like to moderate this event. A special thanks to the MC and also Yang Berbahagia, Dato' Muhammad Mustafa Abdul Aziz for officiating these functions and giving me a chance also to moderate this event. Basically, it is MIHAS 2024. Welcome to this second sessions. Basically, ours is meet an expert from India and Kazakhstan. We have a lady with us, Miss Amia Grover. Give a round of applause, please. And also Mr. Oleg from Kazakhstan, the second man from Kazakhstan, and Mr. Aziz Abdul. You're from India? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's from India as well. So we are proud to have these three gentlemen today. Basically, I'm given a chance to moderate this event, whereby most of the people, the buyers from Malaysia, you got a good chance to deal with these three gentlemen. To be very precise, India is a country whereby we have almost 1.4 billion people. Okay, out of that, we have almost 200 million Muslim populations in India, more than 200 million. So if one were to think that India is small, certainly it's not small, but it's an ocean, okay? And we have a lady, and also a gentleman covering India with 1.4 billion people. And we are talking about, compared to Malaysia, we have a 30 million people, roughly. Yet, as what the CEO of Madrid did mention, that we cover widely, our exports are very large. That shows Malaysia is ready in the international platform, and we are ready to receive the three ladies and gentlemen to, one way or another, help our business community, especially the exporters, to receive or to sell your goods to India. Having said that, let me introduce Miss Amia Grover. She is actually a very experienced lady. I saw her CV. She has covered quite extensively in the market. Besides, she is representing a country or a company known as Reliance Retail. As personally, she is very good in this, what you call this industry, especially experienced business manager with a demonstrated history of working in the internet industry across verticals, products, category and sales, prior experience of identifying new avenues. Malaysia is new avenues to buy our products, okay? Having said that, the company is quite big, having almost what, 18,000, am I right to say that? 18,000 stores in India. And we are talking about in 7,000 towns. 7,000 towns, I don't know what is Malaysia all about. And we are talking about 245,000 employees, 1,000 employees. Well and good. It is a great honor for us to receive you, ma'am. Is it possible for you to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Perhaps 1 or 2 minutes before we can throw some questions to you and receive some questions from the audience as well. Is it?
Thank you. So more than me, I'll just quickly take a minute to introduce the company that I represent. So Reliance Retail is the largest retailer in India by revenue. Globally, it's the 53rd largest retailer by revenue, but 10th largest by market cap. So that gives you a sense of size. Reliance not only caters to, so Reliance is basically an oil to gas magnate that also has retail as one of its arms. We sell grocery, apparel, electronics, beauty, and personal care. So across anything that's in your home is something that we would be selling in one of our stores. And like Sir said, we are about 18,000 plus stores across the country, serving about, so just last year we had about 1 billion footfalls into our stores as well as our online stores. So we are recently moving omni-channel, so we have 2 or 3 websites that also support our offline businesses. Yeah, that's about it for Reliance, so I'll take a pause.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can we introduce Mr. Oleg, the chairman of the board, Eurasian Food Corporation Holdings? He has been second time in Malaysia. The country is having almost 20 million people. Out of that, 70% of them are Muslims, and another 30 is mixed crowd. It is a good opportunity for Malaysian business community, especially for the halal products to export to Kazakhstan. And Mr. Oleg is ready to receive us, and also perhaps he needs 5 minutes to introduce himself. And do you have something to tell? Or Ken? Over to you, Mr. Oleg.
Hello. So, Assalamu alaikum. We are producers from Kazakhstan. It's a holding. We have 3 plants. We produce a broad range of foodstuff, like mayo, ketchup, shortenings, margarine, and so we, for several years, we import palm oil products from Malaysia.
Okay, thank you. Finally, we have Mr. Afzal Aziz, the President of International Business Development, Alana Group from India. It's quite a vast company. It's been, beside importing things from all over the world, they too export lots of products to overseas as well. And Mr. Afzal is well versed in the rules and regulations, the terms and conditions, all the restrictions in India. I think beside helping us to get things from Malaysia, perhaps Mr. Afzal will be a person where we take guidance. How do we send our goods to India? As such, I call upon Mr. Afzal to have at least 1 or 2 minutes about him and the company. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to introduce myself as Afzal Aziz. I'm the President, International Business Development for the Alana Group of companies in India. We were established in the year 1865. So I would say we are a 159-year-old young company. We are, of course, we pioneered the exports of halal buffalo meat from India in the year 1969. And currently we are considered to be the largest producers of halal buffalo meat in the world. We're exporting this product to over 70 countries, including Malaysia, since the last 41 years, where our brand is considered to be the market leader. Besides, of course, buffalo meat, we do a lot of other agriculture products from India, like coffee, frozen fruits, green peas, pet foods. We are also one of the largest importers of palm oil from Malaysia into India. So, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Afzal. Thank you very much. Before I could even allow our members down to pose few questions to our panelists here, perhaps I got few questions as well to three of you, and especially for India, Ms. Amira, that basically we are talking about Malaysian products. I believe you know very well. We specialize in halal products, Malaysia, beside our normal products. But do you, in your company, especially Reliance, do you ever have received any halal products from Malaysia? Have you been selling any products for the information of our members? And what is the future like? Are you ready to receive our members, our exporters? Please, thank you.
Sure. So today, some of the Malaysian companies that we work with, which are also in stores, is Julie's. Apart from that, some key Malaysian brands that are doing well in India is Old Town White Coffee, Kawan Foods. So we have some good brands that are doing quite well in India. When it comes to the Indian market in terms of Malaysian food, so Reliance is basically here for foods this time around. What we have to understand is that India is a very diverse country in terms of topography, in terms of climate, and thus our food preferences change accordingly. So there is no single food preference that you will find across the country. But in terms of Asian food, I think for us the most popular kind of Asian food is Chinese, followed by Thai, and now more recently Korean. Just because of the culture that is seeped into the Indian audience, especially the Gen Z and the millennials. Malaysia will still be a new frontier that we will, as a country, have to embrace. And I think that is starting in certain food products. So when we talk about coffee, for example, India has a very strong and thriving coffee culture. Apart from certain overlaps that we have in terms of snacks, cookies, beverages, as well as roti, right, frozen foods. So those are some of the places that we could definitely explore Malaysian exporters, and I'm more than happy for folks to walk up to me and have this conversation.
Thank you. For our exporters and our members' knowledge, Reliance Retail is basically emphasizing food, vegetarian foods. They don't receive goods like non-vegetarians. They don't, perhaps some other chain of these fast food centers and everything, supermarkets. But Reliance is basically more into vegetarian foods. I believe you're not even selling non-veg food as well over the shelf.
No. So as a company, we today only promote vegetarian food, which means no eggs, no fish, no meat. But having said that, keeping the company aside, I think India has a vast appetite for non-vegetarian. So I'm not saying don't come to India. I'm just saying maybe Reliance might not be the right partner for you. But there are enough and more partners out there. Like I said, it's a massive 1.4 billion strong population country, right? About 35% of us live in urban populations. So the consumption of meat, and I think Mr. Afzal will be a better person to answer that question, is immense. So I'll let this pass to you.
Well, I just wanted to mention that, of course, the non-vegetarian products, the halal products, like meat and all that, you're most welcome to approach us. So, as Amir mentioned, we are quite diversified. I mean, like food habits are different. So, yeah, we can look into, of course, products from Malaysia to
having said that, I don't see India with a vast population of 1.4 billion. Even selling vegetarian food is quite good. I mean, you have enough market for that. So don't be shy. All you need to minus all the meats part and eggs. That's it, isn't it? Even egg, no. As such, other products are welcome. Even coffee, tea, I mean, India is famous receiving. We have enough populations for coffee, even for snacks and everything. I think there are loads of people are exporting to India, but the chances are good for you all to deal with Reliance Retail. But Amia personally can have a dinner with non-veg food as well. If anybody ready to treat her for lunch and dinner, no problem, no veg, certainly.
So what he's trying to say is, while Reliance is a vegetarian company, it does employ non-vegetarian people. So yeah.
Okay. Having said that, perhaps I can pass a next question to Mr. Holik. Do you have any restriction? I believe not in Kazakhstan. You are ready to sell all your products. What is the trade balance? Are you doing well in Malaysia? Are you ready to receive them? Or is it something new market?
Yes, of course, for many Malaysian companies, it could be a new market, and I would like to give some insight into Kazakhstani market, if you allow.
Sure.
Now do we do small presentation?
Who's handling? Anybody can? Okay,
Oh yeah.
done.
Okay, thank you. So, first of all, I would like to appreciate our partner Matrade for inviting our company to MIHAS and giving us this possibility. The population of Kazakhstan is about 20 million. 70% out of that are ethnic Kazakh. Most of them profess Islam, despite the fact that Kazakhstan is a secular state. The popularity of halal products is growing every day, although the state officially does not give preference to halal products over non-halal ones, considering that this is the choice of each individual citizen and does not limit the distribution of non-halal products. Nevertheless, the number of halal shops and catering outlets is steadily growing, especially in the west and south of Kazakhstan. Malaysian halal enjoys a well-deserved reputation as one of the strictest and highest quality in terms of control of our producers. Non-Muslims also enjoy halal products, implying that another level of quality control is never superfluous. Asian food products are no doubt competitive on the Kazakhstan market. Halal certification is one of the reasons for that. Unfortunately, the range and quality of Asian products is not so wide due to some features, one of which is the specificity of traditional Kazakh cuisine, the main products of which are meat, such lamb, beef, even horse meat, and dove, potatoes, but a small amount of vegetables. Regarding the market entry strategy, Kazakhstan has a number of specific features that can influence the strategy of foreign manufacturers. The country ranks the 9th in the world by territory, while by population, Kazakhstan is the 62nd. The country is located in the depths of the Eurasian continent and has no direct access to oceans and external seas. These factors affect logistics in a negative way, increasing the cost of delivery products to the supermarket shelf. Taking into consideration our company's experience, we understand that the most effective way for a manufacturer to distribute its products is to have its own sales branches in key big cities in Kazakhstan, or to cooperate with any distributor that already has them. General norm and rules for deliveries of products to Kazakhstan are similar to requirements in developed countries. So the norms of customs, currency and tax legislations, sanitary norms, food safety standards should be held to. Our company has been purchased palm oil from Malaysia for many years, and our Malaysian partners, with our help, easily meet all Kazakhstani requirements. We prefer to evaluate the competitiveness of suppliers' prices at the moment of purchasing a specific batch of goods, since prices are influenced by many factors, for example, the cost of delivery to Kazakhstan, the exchange rates of the national currencies, etc. Regarding the opportunities and challenges, the main opportunity of the Kazakhstan market are insufficient supply of quality products, so the demand of these products manufactured according to world standards, including to halal norms. The loyalty of Kazakhstani customers to new brands, the geographical location of Kazakhstan, and the possibility to enter markets of neighbor countries as Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Afghanistan. So additional about 50, 60 million consumers. Malaysian company may face some challenges when entering the Kazakhstan market. First of all, this is a tough competition from Russian and Kazakhstan companies producing similar products. Due to their long presence on the market, they are better oriented, more flexible in minimizing prices, and have better understanding of the consumer needs. Malaysian companies may find it difficult to cope with logistics, which mainly involves multimodal transportation by sea to the ports of China, Russia, the Black Sea states as Georgia and Turkey, and then by land to the recipient in Kazakhstan, as well as with internal Kazakhstan logistics due to the large area of the country, the lack of an extensive railway and highways networks. So Kazakhstani market is very sensitive to the price level. The slightest change upwards is negatively understood by the buyer, who unfortunately does not have a sufficient margin of safety in his wallet. This also needs to be taken into account. When delivering for further processing, let's say palm oil, like our company, this is not so critical since domestic manufacturers have some part of the final cost in the national currency, which is tenge. Based on mentioned above, we assume that the most correct way for Malaysian enterprises to enter the Kazakhstan market would be to cooperate with local multi-brand distribution companies. Unfortunately, the negative information pressure on the image of palm oil, which we can observe in the world, also takes place in Kazakhstan. This should be taken into account when promoting products made with its use. The appropriate events among consumers should be held to explain the food safety of palm oil, giving information about sustainable development of the palm oil industry. So, thank you for attention.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Oleg. Ladies and gentlemen, in short, I would like to say that if you want to go to Kazakhstan, you're talking about Eurasian Food Corporation. You're also talking about other six nations or 5 nations, tons country. At least 6 tons countries. All are neighbors. You can use Eurasian Food Corporation as a stepping stone or vehicle to go into a tons country. And I'm sure they are ready to receive you, because instead of you going personally to one country, or rather the 5, you can pick up one. And Mr. Oleg is ready to receive you all. And the population of talking about 20 million plus all these 70 million, average of 70 million people is excellent. It's good enough for us to market. Having said, comparatively, they are big enough. I think, let us have from Mr. Afzal Aziz something about the, basically the rules and regulations in India. What is that tax nature? Perhaps I think 1 or 2 general information will be.
Well, the rules and regulations, like most of the countries, it's pretty simple when it comes to processed foods. You can approach our authorities, basically regulatory authorities. Import procedure is not too tedious. It's simple. You export your product. It gets tested by the FSSAI, which is the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. Takes about a week to 10 days to clear. Most important is, like, of course, if you need to come to India, you must tie up with a good distributor or retailer. I mean, of course, we have one of the the most important one amongst us, MIHAS, which is, they have GeoMart. Yeah. Of course, then there is the Big Basket in India. So, yeah, e-commerce has really picked up. So, your distributors yourself will make it absolutely simple for you to supply your products into the country. And I mean, if anyone in the audience is actually interested in doing so, both me and my colleague from Reliance. We are here to assist them and address their concerns. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Afzal.
Thank you.
In fact, there's a pertinent questions to Ms. Amel because they are very good in e-commerce. That's really where India is very good in e-commerce. Perhaps we can use them place for us to send our goods. They themselves can reach out quite a big market, because they are as much as you can get goods over the shelf. They themselves, they use all these e-commerce platforms extensively to market your products. As such, perhaps Mr. Emil can give us some views about e-commerce, and thereafter, how do we market ourselves?
Sure. So I'll quickly walk you through the size as that to give you an idea of where we stand in terms of online penetration. But more importantly, FMCG itself in India is about a $220 billion market at the moment, expected to grow at about 20 to 25% annually. So by 2030, it's supposed to be around $1,200 billion. A large portion, which is about 45 to 50% of this portion, is just food and beverages, right? Followed by personal care, which is about 35%, and the remainder is home care. So that gives you an idea of the size of the subcategories that we have, and that's why I'm here for food. About 8 to 10% of our FMCG products are imported. The largest countries that we import from are UK, US, Canada at the moment. We have global as well as local players. Some of the key global players that we work with are Hindustan Unilever, Nestle, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, and Cadbury. And we have tough competition from Indian players as well. Some key ones that you guys might want to check out before you look at the pricing that you do in the country would be Dabur, Amul, ITC. And then moving to the question that Sir had about online penetration. So we basically have three types of retail in the country. We have the unorganized retail, which is the largest, which is about 90%. When we say unorganized, I mean the local mom and pop stores, which are usually around the residential areas. So that constitutes to about 90%. Then we have the organized players, which would be a Reliance or a Tata or online players. That's about 10%. Now, between the organized players, over the last couple of years, say about 5 to 6 years, we've actually seen the rise of e-commerce players. So 80% is still offline, while a whopping 20% is online. And amongst the leading online players for grocery, there are two types of players that you will find. You will find companies like Amazon or Flipkart or even JioMart that do next day delivery. And more recently, you will find this new breed of apps called quick commerce. It's very similar to Grab that you have here in Malaysia. So these are companies that would do 15 to 20-minute deliveries, guaranteed, of food products. So why is that important for you? Because we have a large chunk of population that prefers convenience, right? And that's mostly in the top 8 cities. So when you think about where do you want to place your products, I think that's an important consideration. Given that in general, when we talk about India, I think a lot of folks that I interacted with yesterday mentioned that Indians usually have a higher purchasing power. That's the feeling of opulence that we would probably give out, but essentially we're a value-based economy. Price matters, very similar to Kazakhstan. Price matters a lot. In fact, price over quality, and that is what even the international majors are trying to do. So when we talk about chocolates, or when we talk about biscuits, the entry price points are typically very prohibitive for any international player to come in. So what becomes really important is that if you're deciding to play a premium card, which is you're playing quality, you're talking about real chocolate being used, real dry fruits being used, then it's extremely important for you to set up your brand presence, and that can mostly happen via online. So if I'm looking at the latest statistics in terms of digital penetration, we'll talk about 30 to 35% of customers now start their brand search online. Instead of walking into the store and just picking up what they want, they would typically Google it before they decide to buy it. So that's how the customer preferences are changing across the country.
Thank you, Ms. Amir. We have two questions, which is basically, I think Ms. Amir has spoken about the tips to Malaysian exporters who are interested in exporting to India. I think you have spoken. Perhaps you have some tips.
For bakery confectionery?
Second question is bakery, confectionery. Yeah. Third is some tips.
Yeah. So I'll just take a minute. For import, I would suggest, so like Mr. Afzal mentioned, for any food products, you need an FSSAI certification, which is a food and safety certification. It typically takes, I would say, about a week or 2 weeks. Apart from that, there are some labeling changes that will need to be made to your products. Starting with, you'll have to go in descending order of your ingredients and mention the percentage contribution of each of those ingredients on your labeling requirements. A key important one, which is different from Malaysia, is that you need to show whether the product is vegetarian or non-vegetarian. We have a label which is a green label or a red label, green signifying veg and red signifying non-veg. Your license needs to be renewed every year. So while I'm glossing over the finer details of the regulation, but I think an easier way to enter into India would be to find a good importer, right? Because then eventually the work of getting you that FSSAI license, the importer is going to take up the bulk of it. So this is just how you enter the market. Apart from that, one entry point custom duty is something that you'll have to think about based on the type of product that you sell. So if you're selling, say, oral care or toothpastes, your import or custom duty is about 10%, whereas if you're selling biscuits, it's 30%. This is outside of the taxation. So tax on the 30% is going to be another 12 to 18%. So that's how you import, and then over and above that, you'll have separate retail margins, which are typically in the range of 10 to 30%. Or if you're going online, it'll be slightly higher. It'll be between 20 to 30%, because in online retail, the seller is responsible to pay for the actual delivery of the product. All those prices can eventually be recovered from the customer based on the MRP or the maximum retail price that you're going to stamp on the document. But typically, that's how the numbers look like.
Thank you, Ms. Amir. Perhaps the first question is, how about approval for animal feeds, food with India and Kazakhstan? I think they are trying to import. I think there's any restrictions to bring feed products from India to Malaysia and everything?
Feed products? No, at the moment, of course, in Malaysia, we do require a permit from the DVS. So at the moment, we don't have it, but we are of course trying for it to get the permit.
The question is, do Malaysia has a market access approval for feed products from India and Kazakhstan? I don't know.
Companies just have to give some certifications, and these are phytosanitary certification, veterinary certification. We know that if we have imported pet food in our supermarkets, so there is a possibility to bring it.
Yeah, same in India. We import from MIHAS for pet food. And I think we import it from US as well as some Asian countries.
But you don't produce, do you, in your country?
We do, but the larger brands do eventually get imported. It's still a comparatively newer market, like pet food in India is comparatively a newer nascent market.
Sorry, I couldn't get the question earlier. In fact, we are doing pet food in a very large way. And of course, our pet food can also be considered as halal. We are exporting our pet food mostly, of course, to the US market, to Europe. And now, of course, lately, I mean, we have started getting some queries from Malaysia too. So we are definitely looking at exporting to
I
Malaysia.
got another question to you, Mr. Afzal.
Sure.
They want to know about your company. They want to know about your company very
Oh.
much.
Okay, so I'll begin with what I said earlier. I mean,
You did mention something, perhaps a little bit
yes,
elaboration
sure.
will be good.
So we've been actually in business since last 159 years. We do mostly agriculture products, basically. So it's we're the largest producers and exporters of halal meat from India. We do frozen fruits, vegetables, like green peas. We do coffee beans. So India, of course, does specialty coffee. So I'm sure the most famous brands that you consume here, like Illy Cafe from Italy or Lavazza, they do, of course, use a lot of Indian coffee in their formulation. We are, of course, India's now, I would say that we are the number one producers of even pet food now in India. We have launched a local brand too, and we are planning to, of course, get into the Malaysian market soon. Besides, of course, India, we have investments in other countries. We have 4 factories in Malaysia. We do oleochemicals, we do soap, we do, of course, downstream processing of palm oil here, and then we export it to other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Afzal. Can we have some questions from the floor? Yeah. Yes, the mic is there.
My name is Maqsood Ahmed, and I'm from the Halal Times. We are the world's largest halal media platform, publishing halal brand, publishing news about the global halal industry. My question to the representative from Reliance is basically, I just wanted to know as to what the most important criteria which you consider for choosing brands or companies as your partners.
Thank you for that question. So when we choose brands for our partnership, I think apart from the commercials that we eventually decide, I think what's extremely important is for us to understand the viability of the product in the Indian market, right? And that corresponds to both the price as well as the taste. So like I was mentioning previously, right? So India has a very varied taste. Let me give you an example. I don't know whether you guys will be aware of this brand called Indomie, which is an Indonesian noodle brand, right? So when they entered India with their taste profile. Did not work for some time. And then eventually they had to, so they innovated and they came up with a flavor that works for the Indian market, which is typically the masala flavor. Not curry, not chili, masala, right? Which is very similar to what Maggi, as the largest brand for instant noodles in India, would typically have. And now they're doing very well. When I was mentioning that example of the coffee brand that we import from Malaysia, they as well started off with their usual formulations for coffee in India, but what they realized is that Indians usually drink a stronger form of coffee, right? So they had to change that formulation and come into India. So those essentially will be our considerations as in how flexible is the brand to change the formulation to suit the Indian market. I think that becomes extremely important, and apart from that, Reliance fundamentally is a value-based brand. Since we cater to a large population, most of our price points are either entry level or medium level. So those are typically 2 considerations that we have in mind. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Ong. I'm from FM Global Logistics. The question goes to Mr. Oleg. Are there a lot of logistical and custom formalities and constraints in exporting to Kazakhstan?
You mean restrictions, or what are these?
Export from Malaysia to Kazakhstan. Are there logistical constraints Means going here, the thing towards the end, you cannot track, you get lost, or whatever. Custom formalities, they want this form, that form, whatever formalities that have to be complied with to restrict or so to make custom declaration difficult, and therefore the passage of cargo into Kazakhstan becomes difficult. Are there any? Can you give us a state of the so-called logistic in Kazakhstan?
Mr. Oleg, are you ready? Any rules and regulations are normal, simple things.
Yeah.
You think you have a problem? And I'm sure no problems, because otherwise
Thank you
you won't
for
be
the
here
question,
anyway to receive goods from Malaysia.
Yeah, we import
again, Mr. Ong is asking.
a lot of different foodstuff and other things. So the usual regulations, the rule, we have all the international rules. Our legislation is based on the international rules and the common sense, I would say. So.
So I think the easiest way to sell to you, everything soft. Would that be the case? You be the main importer. Can I get shippers to see you?
Maybe Mr. Ong,
Yeah.
later we can have an interaction with Mr. Oleg separately.
Sorry, thank you.
So that will be even better. Do you have any other questions, please? Over here, please. No? Sorry.
Hello,
Yes.
I'm Daniel from Biocare Supplement Worldwide Manufacturing Sdn and OEM Powdered Beverage Company. And I have a question for all the three panelists about, how do you see the competitive landscape for Indian and Kazakhstani market or for imported instant baby food? And what is the regulation and the compliance, product safety and consumer preference in the inside of instant baby food? Thank you.
Sorry, which food type are you talking about?
Instant baby food for puree, powder.
Dairy? Can you give me an example of?
For example, for my company, we use brown rice powder added with some flavor of mango, for sweet potato, for baby puree for 6 months and above. It's like a
Baby foods.
Introduction of baby food for the baby to.
Baby foods. Okay,
Yeah.
understood. Okay.
Thank you.
So again, so let me take that answer. So typically, again, since anything which needs to be ingested falls under the gambit of food and safety norms. So that will have to be, that particular product needs to be tested. Now in terms of in general baby food, right now, if I look at overall mom and baby category, that's the sphere of influence that this product comes under. Our largest selling products are going to be baby diapers, just purely because of the volume that we sell. But apart from that, baby food is still a nascent category. We don't have a lot of new age brands to cater to baby food because it is a sensitive category. I'm not sure whether you're aware, but for a couple of years ago, I think large international brands were advertising baby food in India, which goes against the norm that mother's milk is the best for kids for as long as possible. So for some time, there was some backlash and some legal clashes. And then eventually, advertising for baby food is actually regulated. So that's something that you'll have to keep in mind. But apart from that, still slightly nascent. Folks are hesitant to use baby food because we are a very, I think very similar to Malaysia, we're a very family-oriented culture, right? So whatever is followed by the generation above is going to get followed by the generation below. So it's a difficult habit to change, but absolutely welcome any new brands that come in. We don't have a lot of incumbents, unlike snacks and bakery. Baby food is a non-penetrated category.
Okay, thank you. We can come back to the audience. Meanwhile, I got two more questions down here. What are the important regulations and conditions for canned halal chicken luncheons meat from Malaysia to India? Mr. Afzal, it's a canned food chicken How do we send to, do you have any restrictions on that?
See, when it comes under the meat category,
Yes,
they,
exactly.
of course, need to first apply for the permission from India, and this would be have to be taken from the relevant authorities. Secondly, what they need to do is, of course, there will be, of course, testing upon arrival, and so it will be the best would be if they get in touch with FSSAI. They're the best authority in India to give them all information required as far as the canned product is concerned. But as I mentioned, there is testing which happens, and that would take about 10 days after arrival or something that it gets cleared.
Do you think in India overall acceptable for canned food, especially?
Yeah. They see the food habits are changing. I mean, like, you know, with rapid urbanization and you know, the lack of time these days with the new generation. So so
pre-cooked food and everything is
packaged food.
Semi.
The culture of packaged food is, of course, picking up, I would say. It wasn't so before, but India is, of course, undergoing a great change,
Certainly, worldwide,
especially as far as the food habits are concerned.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Afzal.
Thank you.
And again, there's a question about
Hello.
Kazakhstan, what they do buy. I think palm oil is the pertinent one, the major one. Am I right to say that?
Yes, our company imports from Malaysia the palm oil, the fractions, palm kernel oil for further processing. Regarding other imports, Kazakhstan imports almost everything from all over the world. Yeah.
Are you one of the biggest importer of palm oil from Kazakhstan?
Yes.
So
our
anybody
holding
is
the biggest one.
interested can meet Mr. Oleg later to discuss about joining. I think at the moment you're dealing with Felda group. Am I right to say that?
The Lima, able perfect.
So that is that.
Yeah, one question.
Yes.
There is not much market halal product in India, especially in North India. What kind of product would you like to export from Malaysia, madam?
Export from Malaysia.
Yeah. Import from Malaysia.
Import from Malaysia.
Yeah.
It's an open market. You can come up with anything in India as long as there's enough. You've got to do a study. Do you think you can take this?
Is that question for food, non-food, veg, non-veg? Because then we can decide who can answer that question.
I guess he's referring to halal food, so it has to be food. If I understand you right, you mentioned, I mean, what products from Malaysia could come into India, right?
Yes.
Right.
Of course, I would say almost everything, no?
Everything is there.
I mean, it all depends on the exporters here, what they plan to export to India. I mean, in India, of course, there's demand for every kind of food, of course, preferably with the green logo. So you have wider market access. More than the halal in India, you know, we look for the green logo. So
Halal is green logo.
no,
What he's trying to say is vegetarian is
it's
green.
a vegetarian. So what happens is it gives you an assurance that there is no animal product added into it.
As long as
or ingredient.
you got this approval for halal
Yes,
certificates,
yeah.
I think the market is very large. There's no restrictions on that. I believe India is quite big enough to receive everything as far as the halal concerns, because we have enough markets.
Enough market.
Any questions, please? Okay, otherwise.
I'm sorry, I got to ask you one more question, please. The thing is, I've been following Indian news for quite some time now. To my understanding, I'm not trying to be political, to my understanding, halal has got a lot of negative connotations for various reasons. And there are quite public and private forces which are opposing the very concept of halal. Are you still positive that the Malaysian exporters would be able to export their products, halal products I'm talking about specifically, to India? This is kind of very confusing, especially for the observers of the Indian market. So please, hopefully you would give the answer.
You want me to take this? You see, India is a large market basically. So, I mean, there is room for every product. With the halal logo, of course. I mean, then you could even, you see in India, as I mentioned, and even my colleague here, she mentioned earlier, most important is the green logo. So, I mean, of course, India is not a huge market for imported animal protein as such, because we have enough supply in India locally. I mean, of all kinds of animal protein. But non-animal protein or other agriculture products, snack food, absolutely no problem. Whether it carries halal tag, whether it carries the green logo. Yeah, there's a buyer for everything. You know, the green tag or the red tag.
I think
you have a buyer.
Malaysians halal requirements and conditions are one of the very strict one in the world.
Oh, yes.
And I believe comparatively our market our products must be well received by everyone. Issue of political things, I think, beyond our control.
Yeah, let me try to answer this question slightly differently. Whatever happens at the political level, I have never seen a customer say no to a halal product. Eventually, the consumption pattern is not represented in the political scenario.
Okay, answer. Thank you. The question for Mr. Oleg, they're asking a taste bud of your food. What is your food like? I don't know. How do you going to describe this?
Not spicy, usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very simple, straightforward. Not spicy.
Not spicy, yes.
I think Malaysian food are not spicy, but unless it is Malay foods and okay, I believe that's okay, fine enough. Indian foods are spicy anyway.
It's spicy, it's not necessarily spicy, but I would say that it's varied food products. So let me give you an example. Let's take an example of tea, because you all understand tea. But tea is also consumed very differently. When we talk about the extreme north in Kashmir, you'll have no milk tea, but with dry fruits. When you move towards the east, you'll have extremely milky tea. And they'll have it in a particular, utensil. When you go towards the north, please correct me, when you go towards slightly lower towards the north, when you move towards Delhi, UP, etc., they will have stronger tea, but with milk and sugar, right? And then when you move towards the south, tea is non-existent. Most people are drinking coffee. So that's how different the taste buds are. But typically flavorful, which means spices, not spicy. It doesn't necessarily mean red chili. But cumin, coriander, ginger, garlic, like those are typical taste profiles that you will find in every Indian kitchen.
This question, Mr. Afzal, for FMCG products, is there any requirement or regulation that we need to fulfill before we enter Indian market?
Well, there's none. I mean, depending on the product, if you're talking about processed meat products, I mean, not meat, of course, non-meat products, there is not much of any
restrictions and everything.
Restrictions. However, I mean, for any kind of like the fine lines, it's better to refer to the FSSAI guidelines. And it's all on the website, very clear.
There's another general question. Tips for Malaysian exporters who are interested in exporting to Indian market. I think you have given enough.
We'll all both answer that.
Well.
I mean, well, she's here. I mean, I think anyone who's interested can contact them.
I think
they're
we
the
can
largest.
skip that question. We have already answered quite big.
Yeah.
We can have the gentleman over there, please.
Yeah, hello. Hello everyone, good afternoon. So my name is Ganesh, I'm from Lekalis, Malaysia. So I have a question, I mean we as a company have a question about ghee coming in from India to Malaysia. Following Dato Sri's answer that Malaysia's halal is very strict, but what we see is with the increasing presence of ghee entering markets through parallel imports, and often lacking halal certification, what measures are being taken to regulate such imports? Because this affects the consumer trust and integrity of the halal certified products in Malaysia.
Who's this question for?
Anyone?
So in India, we don't have, like, I have not seen halal certification for ghee. We do only a ghee purity test to understand if it's actually ghee or it's dalda or it's vegetable oil. So those are the only checks we do.
Exactly.
But there is no, okay, so from a retail perspective, there is no minimum requirement to have a halal certification on ghee. Right? It's technically not considered a non-veg product. It's considered as a vegetarian product, although it's an animal byproduct.
Exactly. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Halal, it's a process itself. So, in Malaysia, okay, the product has to be halal in order for the consumers to consume. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. So, with this, how are we going to regulate the increasing of presence of ghee coming in from India, which is not halal certified?
But
Because it's available everywhere in the market at the moment. I'm not going to mention any names, but it is there.
It's on the, I think its authority has to make rules and regulations, not for us.
No, we do have several halal certifiers in India. All you need to do is you need to tell your supplier from India to get a halal certification, which I'm sure that they can provide.
I see. Okay.
But in India as such, like in the market, we don't have a requirement for the local
requirements
market
are
having
strict
halal.
requirements.
But if Malaysia requires it, I'm sure the exporter you're dealing with him can definitely arrange it for you. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I think indeed I'm glad to receive Mr. Oleg, Mr. Afzal, Ms. Amial from India and also Kazakhstan. They have given some views. I think it's not in total, but extensively they have covered the areas well. The idea of today is that to market or to get ready your products to the shelf from India and Kazakhstan, they have given their rules, or rather how do you impress them, how do you export your goods to them. And I believe you are in the position to deal directly with them as well. As much as Martrade is ready to help you to market your products, I think they have extensively covered all their office in India as well. And India, not only in Delhi and other places as well. Perhaps you can use that as a channel to reach out. Meanwhile, these three lady and two gentlemen are ready to receive you, help you all. Perhaps this is a good occasion to market our products, especially halal products. I believe this session is fruitful enough for everyone. I would like to say thank you to audience and my friends, and special thanks to Martrade for organizing this event. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Dato Sri, for moderating the session and for the speakers, for the insight and valuable information for this session of Knowledge Hub. The panelists may return to your seats. And please give another round of applause to our speakers and moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, before we take our break this afternoon, I would like to kindly request everyone to complete the feedback form by scanning the QR code on the screen. And when you finish filling up the feedback form, you will receive an e-certificate for your attendance of this session too. We will now take a lunch break and kindly return to the hall by 2:15 p.m. as our session 3 and session 4 will start at 2:30 p.m. today. Hopefully everyone will enjoy your lunch and come back here for more exciting sharing from the USA, Turkey, Ireland, and another 2 countries moving forward, inshallah. See you in the evening.